What's up, YouTube? Super Secret Agent coming at you with another online battle. So I have opted to take Arguelon and take Durthu out. Get rid of that. And I also brought along a Treemen as well, a Branch Wraith for healing. He only has Earthblood, so I wanted to keep him as cheap as possible. And I assumed that he'd be a better option than a Lore of Life Spellsinger. Also brought Flock of Doom on Durthu. I've got 4 Treemen. On the flanks I've got a couple Eternal Guard, and I also have one in the rear right here. Over here I've got a Hawk Rider for a quick aerial unit, and in the woods here I have some Wild Riders. My opponent has opted to bring 2 Blood Knights, so he spent a lot of money on his Blood Knights. 2 Crypt Horrors, not a bad pick. A few Grave Guards, 1, 2, 3. Cairn Wraith. And this, I believe, is a Necromancer who has Invocation of Nehek and Raise the Dead. And this is a Vampire Lord who has all of his abilities, so he definitely went all in on the Vampire Lord. He also brought a White King on foot. Looks like he just has, what's this called? Whatever. That sword attack thing. He's got a couple skeleton spears as well. Alright, so the engagement's going to kind of start a little bit here. I'm going to bring these guys over to do some skirmishing on his Blood Knights. I'm not sure how well they'll do, but we'll find out here in a second. I've got these Wild Riders over here, and I'm going to want to move them away from the Blood Knights, because the Blood Knights will absolutely shred them to pieces. And I want to use them for some charges on these Grave Guard to whittle down their health a little bit before the engagement. He can't see my army over here. I'm going to spring them out in a second here. But I'm going to try and do some charges before I do that. So Hawk Riders, here, I'll pull this back up. As you can see, they're really not doing much damage. They've done maybe 200 hit points worth of damage on this Blood Knight. So they're not doing well, so probably not a good idea to use my ammo on them. Though I gotta find a way to take them out somehow, right? Anyway, my Wild Riders over here. I'm gonna try and kind of work them around here. I want to keep them away from 1, the Cairn Wraiths, and 2, especially the Skeleton Spears, because of their anti-large. The Cairn Wraiths, thing is, I don't think I can do too much damage to them because of their physical resistance, and we don't have poison attacks or magical attacks or whatever to help deal with that. So I'm actually just going to charge in on these Grave Guard here. We'll do quite a bit of damage. We're going to try and pull out over here out of that fight, and we'll mostly be able to without too much damage. And now what he should be doing is he should be maneuvering his Skeleton Spears kind of near where I'm gonna pull in my Wild Riders here, because now I'm gonna be ready for another charge. Over here he's moving up his Blood Knights. I'm afraid he's gonna kind of run up this hill, but it looks like he's gonna move them back to help deal with the Wild Riders, which is smart. Hawk Riders, he doesn't really need to worry about them too much. As you can see, not much damage being done. But over here I threw in another charge on these Grave Guard who don't have the Skeleton Spears nearby or the Cairn Wraiths. And I'm going to pull them out and get ready for another charge again. Now it's right now that I'm going to start thinking about moving out my army to kind of give him something to attack here. And plus I don't want to drag out the battle for too long without making an engagement. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll just kind of sit out on this hill. And right over here, I'm going to try and maneuver around. I got to get away from these Skeleton Spears, and I'm going to try and attack right in here. Now over here, these Blood Knights, again, not too much damage, so they should be over here chasing off my Wild Riders. He should keep them nearby his blob here, and he should try and engage me before I start doing more damage. So right now he does have the advantage in the amount of troops, at least. As you can see here, he has almost double. 666 to be precise, so that's pretty fitting an undead army, I suppose. He's kind of ignoring my whole army here, which is surprising, so I'm going to start moving forward. I want to start the engagement. He's going to tire out my Wild Riders, and they're not going to be able to get away from the Blood Knights eventually. My Hawk Riders, I'm going to try and fire on these Crypt Horrors. One thing that I'm not too happy about with the Hawk Riders, they're a very useful unit, but they just don't do a lot of skirmishing damage, to be honest. I mean, they do have a high amount of damage available, kind of, but 38. But at the same time, I mean, there's just not enough of them to dish out that damage, so not my favorite, but they're really helpful. They can do some rear charges and hold up some units if you need to, so they're fairly useful for their price. Alright, so I'm just inching forward my army one by one, or move by move. Wild Riders are going to come back in, get ready for another charge, so we're going to work around again over here and avoid his Blood Knights, who would have to go through these units to reach me, which at this point they should be doing. He should be splitting them up. He doesn't need two of them 2-on-1 to win a fight against the Wild Riders. The Blood Knights, just one Blood Knight will shred a Wild Rider unit. Alright, so we're going to start moving in with my Treemen in the whole army. So I'm kind of surrounding my army with Eternal Guard, so he can't just charge my Treemen with his Blood Knights, which would be very smart of him. They would do a ton of damage if they were able to. They're definitely his most potent unit on the field. And right here, again, he's going to move over his Skeleton Spearmen. That's a smart move. Alright, so the engagement's about to start. I'm going to move in my units. Fast forward a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to attack all of his Grave Guard. And one thing I did is I left these guys behind so that they could protect the rear of my lines from the Blood Knights. Also protect these Wild Riders. These Wild Riders, I noticed that he's going to attack. I'm going to move them out of the way. I'm going to find something to do with that Hawk Rider as well. Over here, we're going to start doing immense damage to these Grave Guard. Also, as you can see, I've got the Earth Blood going through them right now. And I'll be casting some Flock of Doom on them as well. But over here, he's engaged these Eternal Guard. These units will definitely win this fight. Luckily, I've got a Treemen in there as well. My Wild Riders are gonna start to do a charge here. It's gonna be a super wonky charge. I must have misclicked, and they're just gonna sit there. So that's kind of annoying, but I'll pull them back out. At this point, they're gonna get stuck by the Vampire Lord, and I'm gonna be like freaking out about that. I doubled up on this Crypt Horror with my 2 Eternal Guard. The Crypt Horrors are definitely doing a lot of damage to one of them, but overall, I think that they'll be able to fight through this. His Blood Knights should still be chasing off my Wild Riders, or at least rear charging my Treemen. That would be smart, because both of my Eternal Guard are now piled in on this unit. And he might do that, I don't really remember. What he should have been doing is piling in his units using Invocation of Nehek, and doing something similar to what I'm doing with the Earth Blood. Healing his units. He's gonna send in some more Crypt Horrors. But I think Durthu will do well against these units. Charging his Blood Knights, that's smart. My Eternal Guard should be finishing up these units over here. Alright, and my Wild Riders, they're gonna do another rear charge here. I'll get you a good shot of that. So right now the fight is going well. His units are going to start to crumble. I don't know where his Vampire Lord is. Right there. He's getting wrecked by Durthu. Durthu is such an awesome lord. Man, one of my favorites. That's for sure. elsewhere on the battlefield, we're chasing off these crypt horrors. We've realized that that fight isn't going well for them. The Blood Knights are going to pull away from these Eternal Guard. I'm going to try and fire on them with my Hawk Riders because I don't really have anything else good to fire on right now. Vampire Lord losing decisively to Durthu and these Treemen. Yeah, not too many units or lords can fight up against Durthu one-on-one. Maybe Vlad, but or like Manfred on a dragon. But yeah, he does well. So he's gonna notice that, he's gonna pull away his Vampire Lord. He should be targeting this Branch Wraith, who is keeping all of my Treemen alive a lot longer than his Skeleton Spears. And he should be using more Invocation of Heck. Well, he is over here, it looks like, actually. It's gonna summon up some zombies. Kind of pointless at this point, but anyway, now the fight is starting to wrap up here. Get rid of the UI. So yeah, this was a really fun one. I think it was more of just a mismatch here, and I don't think he properly used his Blood Knights as well as he could have. And yeah, you can see everything's starting to crumble now. Except for these zombies. For some reason, they don't crumble. So we're all going to pile in on them here in a second. Flock of Doom coming in. Basically punching bags at this point. Ah, Durthu is over here. That's just regular Treeman. This sword looks awesome. Such cool artwork. So he finally killed his Vampire Lord, and the zombies are gone, and the battle is won. So that was a really fun fight. Kudos to my opponent for sticking around until the end, and for choosing 666 vampire units. That's pretty awesome. I doubt he did that on purpose, but still, that's pretty cool. Anyway, that does it for this episode. I'll be back at you guys with some more content very soon. Super Secret Agent, signing out.